Once you reach this net worth, money stops mattering. You've probably heard people say that money does not buy happiness. You've probably also rolled your eyes at that because it's usually coming from someone who's never had to worry about money a day in their life. But here's the thing. There can be a point where additional income has diminishing impact on day-to-day well-being for many people. Most retirees I work with blow right past that number without ever realizing it. They keep saving, worrying, sacrificing, long after the money stopped mattering. And today I'm going to show you exactly where that line is and what happens when you cross it without knowing. Hi, I'm Scott Beasley, Certified Financial Planner at Gateway Financial Partners. I've spent years helping clients figure out not just how to build wealth, but how to actually use it without guilt, fear, or regret. And I want to start with something that surprised me when I first came across the research, because it changed how I think about almost every client I work with. There have been competing studies on exactly when money stops improving your daily life. Earlier research suggested well-being levels off around certain income threshold. More recent work found the relationship can actually continue to improve beyond that point, but only for certain people. Here's what both studies agree on. If you're already miserable, more money past a certain point does almost nothing to fix it. But if you're reasonably content, more wealth can keep adding to how you experience your life. Here's the kicker. Most retirees I met are not unhappy because they lack money. They're unhappy because they are terrified to spend the money they already have. And that's a completely different problem, and one that almost nobody in this industry talks about. Now, if you're watching this and thinking that sounds familiar, you're not alone. This is exactly why we help people in my office figure out not just what their number is about, but what to do with it. If you want to understand what your number looks like and whether you've already passed it, the link to book time with me is in the description below. Now let me show you what this actually looks like in someone's life, because this is where it gets real. Worked with a couple a few years ago, let's call them David and Susan. $2.3 million, paid off house, Social Security locked in for them both. On paper they were set, but here's what was actually happening. They were living on about $6,000 a month. When I ran their plan, they could have spent $8,000 or $9,000 while remaining within the assumptions of our projections. That's $2,000 to $3,000 a month they were leaving on the table every single month. But every time I showed them the numbers, they could not believe it. What if the market crashes? What if we need long-term care? What if one of us lives to 100? So we stress tested every one of those scenarios. Market crash in year 1, long-term care for both of them, living to 103. Their projections remained stable across every scenario under those assumptions. The problem was never their money. The problem was their mindset. They had spent 40 years in accumulation mode and they literally could not turn it off. They crossed the enough threshold years ago and never noticed it. Rich on paper, poor in permission. So how do you know if you're in that situation? Here's a rough starting point, though your personal numbers will depend on your age, health, tax situation, and a dozen other factors. Take your actual annual spending, not your budget, your real spending. Multiply it by 25 as a rough planning guideline. That's a rough guideline based on historical assumptions, typically built around a 30-year retirement horizon. Add about 20% on top for healthcare, inflation, and surprises. Now look at your portfolio. If you're above that number and you have Social Security covering a meaningful portion of your base expenses, you may have already crossed the threshold without realizing it. This is not a perfect formula, but it's a starting point for a conversation people have never had. And here's where everything flips. Because once you cross that line, the financial instincts that got you there start working against you. Accumulation thinking says spend less, save more, protect everything. But once you have enough, that same mindset can quietly cost you years of your life. You're no longer solving for security, you're solving for meaning. And those require completely different decisions. Instead of asking, how do I make my money last? The question becomes, how do I make my life count? Instead of minimizing withdrawals, you start maximizing experiences while you are healthy enough to enjoy them. Instead of protecting every dollar, you start deploying it towards things that matter most. Travel, family, generosity, legacy. Now, I know what comes up next. What if I spend more and something goes wrong? That's a fair concern, and I'm not dismissing it. But here's the question I want you to sit with. What if you are wrong in the other direction? What if you spend the next 20 years living below your means, delaying the things you want to do, and then you die with a massive IRA or 401k balance? Who benefits? Not you. Under current rules, many non-spouse beneficiaries are subject to the 10-year distribution rule for inherited retirement accounts, though exceptions apply, meaning a significant portion can end up taxed at their rates rather than yours. A surviving spouse often has more flexibility under current rules, but the tax burden does not disappear. Here's the uncomfortable truth. The risk of spending too little is just as real as the risk of spending too much. But nobody talks about it because underspending does not make headlines. The consequences are invisible until it's too late. At the end of the day, here's the bottom line. Money may become less of a limiting factor once you have enough to fund your lifestyle with a reasonable margin of safety. For most retirees, that number is lower than they think. And one of the risks is not running out of money, it's underutilizing what you have while you still can. The goal is not to die with the most. The goal is to live with enough and actually use it. If you want help figuring out where your enough threshold is and what to do once you've crossed it, book a time with me. The link is in the description below. Make it a great one, and we'll see you in the next video.